Hello, can you share your name, pronouns, and an introduction about yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Elaine Perlman. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I have been an educator for 33 years. And then I switched gears, and now I am working on passing laws to dissolve barriers to living organ donation.
Thank you so much. And can you tell us how organ donation has played a role in your personal life?
Absolutely. So in 2017, my son said to me, "Hey, I want to donate my kidney to a stranger." And I said, "That sounds like the most dangerous thing I've ever heard of," because I knew very little. I knew we had two kidneys. I thought they were just these vacuum cleaners in our bodies, but I thought you needed to be related to someone in order to donate to them. And I also thought, probably because of media, that giving a kidney was almost like giving up your life. So I had no awareness whatsoever. But my son at the time was on the debate team, and he was ready with all of the evidence about how safe and life-saving kidney donation is. And so within a short period of time, I said to him, "Hey, if all goes well, I'll do it too." So in January of 2020, I donated my kidney to a stranger and launched a kidney chain. My kidney flew to Georgia, another kidney flew to Oklahoma, and then two more went to Washington State. So I like to joke around that creates a smile in the United States if you follow that pathway. So yeah, I have a personal connection with living kidney donation, and honestly, it is among my most rewarding decisions.
Beautiful. And having started a kidney donation chain yourself, can you speak about what the chain entails exactly, how the process is carried out, and how you felt coming out of yours?
Sure. So in for my chain, it was set up by the National Kidney Registry. So what happens is that the transplant center said, "Hey, when do you want to do the surgery?" And so I told them, "Hey, January works well for my work schedule." And so they put my data into the computer, and very quickly, because there's such a tremendous kidney shortage, we have 92,000 Americans on the wait list, and far more that would be eligible for the wait list, but for complicated reasons, not everyone is listed. Sometimes it requires money to be listed. I talked to a family who lives in rural Pennsylvania. They had to raise $25,000 before the transplant center would waitlist them. So it is complicated to get on the wait list. So they punched my numbers into the computer system, and immediately a great match came up. And so from there, I didn't really know the details until later, but they made that match with me. And so when my kidney flew over, a family member or a friend had to be lined up to donate to another stranger. And so there was a great match for that Georgia kidney in Oklahoma. The kidney flew over, the kidney was received successfully. And then that person the recipient had someone else lined up. And it's like a domino effect. Another kidney flew to Washington State. Again, that person had a person willing to donate to another stranger. Now, keep in mind, the reason that they participated in the chain is because those pairs were not good matches, right? So the Washington person had a friend or a family member who donated to another stranger, and that final person on the list, the fourth person who received a kidney, that was a person from the kidney donor wait list.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for explaining. And I saw online that you shared artwork of your portrayal of your kidney traveling. So
That's
I
right. I pictured my kidney in first class. Yeah.
yes, very exciting journey for it, of course. And through your incredible work in the organ donation sphere, what misconceptions have you heard others share, and how have you been able to help dispel them?
Well, I'll just give you a quick example. So I was at the National Kidney Foundation Kidney Walk, and I wear a sandwich board around the city. I live in New York City that says, "Gifted my kidney to a stranger, and you can too." I was wearing my sandwich board, and I talked to tons of people at the kidney walk. And I talked to one mother who said, "I need a kidney. I'm on the wait list, and I will not let my son donate. He really wants to, and I will not let him. I do not want to put him in any kind of harm's way. It's very dangerous." And I explained to her how heartbreaking it is to have her son watch his beloved mother, get sicker and sicker, and that she should allow him to get tested, and that it's as safe as childbirth. And she did that. That was my son's first line for me, by the way. And so I told her about my own experience. And I think that the misconception is that it's far more dangerous than it is. Right now, the stat is from 2008 that 3 out of 10,000 kidney donors die, living kidney donors. However, that stat is really outdated. And NYU Langone, Dr. Dori Segev is going to publish a new paper, which shows, I think that it's closer to 1 in 10,000. But if the kidney donor does not have hypertension, the death rate is even lower than 1 in 10,000. So it's a safe operation. A lot of people in this country think it is not. And I think that's the greatest misconception that harms the process, right? People will not step forward because they're too afraid.
Okay, thank you for sharing the updated research about what risks it might entail and how they've been lowered over the years. And because many people have not had such a robust opportunity to learn about altruistic organ donation, can you discuss what the landscape of it looks like in America currently?
Sure, but I do want to mention something about the history of altruistic donation. So there's a terrific new documentary called Confessions of a Good Samaritan, and it reviews the history. What happened was people did offer to give kidneys to strangers in the past, but the medical community thought that they were raving nutcases, that they were crazy and not to be permitted to do such a thing. And so, it's a funny thing. I think if somebody thinks I would never do such a thing, they think the other person is crazy for doing it. But what happened around the year 2000 is they started testing people psychologically who wanted to do this thing. They found out actually they're quite sane. And so I think that there were about 17, something like that, living kidney donations that went to strangers in 2000. And it has slowly grown. And some years it's 300, some years it's close to 400. I don't think it's ever broken 400. However, the number of kidney donations to strangers is not large enough. So one thing that I do is I go to different festivals. I walk around New York City, obviously, and I try to promote the idea of giving our kidneys to strangers.
And would you possibly like to mention the fun fact about the amygdala in relation to people who give
Oh,
donations?
yeah. That is such a fun fact. Another fun fact is that we have two amygdalas and they're the size of almonds, which somehow is very cute. The amygdala is the emotional center in our brain. And a wonderful neuroscientist from Georgetown, Abigail Marsh, she has a TED talk about this. She was studying psychopaths and she found out that their amygdalas were smaller than average. And she thought, well, how can I get a contrasting group? Hey, people give kidneys to strangers. They're very compassionate people. And so she scanned brains of a bunch of us and she found out that our amygdalas are larger than average. And so it's just a fascinating thing. Oftentimes people ask me, say, oh, why did you do this? And it's an amazing thing. You're a hero and these kind of things. And I don't feel like a hero at all. I just feel like, it's just something that came automatically in a way after I heard that it was safe. and I think that, I simply take after my grandmother, who was a very kind person, and she was very giving to strangers. So it's a genetic brain thing that some people have this desire to help in a way that's maybe a bit more than normal.
That was so lovely. Thank you for sharing. And what distinctions between live and deceased organ donation do you feel are most important to make?
Well, it turns out that every year, about 2/3 of the donations are coming from deceased donors and 1/3 from living donors. So it's about 6,000 living donations a year. And unfortunately, that has been consistent for the last 20 years. Now, why is that unfortunate? It's because the wait list has doubled during that time. So the demand has grown, the supply has stayed the same. The deceased donation organ system gets a lot of attention, but even if every American was registered as a deceased organ donor, which is unlikely to happen. We have about 60%. Even if everyone signed up, we could only add 12,000 new kidneys every year. And that is not enough to solve the kidney shortage. So I believe that the growth area is in living kidney donation. And it's just unfortunate that so few people die in a way where their organs can be procured. What I would like to see is a wait list of donors rather than a wait list of kidney disease patients who desperately need an organ to survive and thrive.
After a successful altruistic donation, how has life changed? And what does the recovery period look like?
Great question. The only thing that's changed is that I can no longer take what they call NSAIDs, like ibuprofen. And why? NSAIDs kill 17,000 people a year. They are a catastrophe for our kidneys. And I'm talking about ibuprofen slash Advil and all the others under different labels. They look like M&Ms. People take them like they're M&Ms. They pop them in. They figure they're over the counter. It can't be dangerous. But in reality, kidneys despise and really suffer with NSAID. So I no longer take those. Well, the hospital said you can take Tylenol. It's only bad for your liver. And I thought, well, I do love my liver very much. So I've looked into it, and tart cherry juice does the same thing. I buy it in a concentrated form. I keep it in my fridge. 2 tablespoons of tart cherry juice is like 2 Advils. It really works for helping me with any kind of inflammation or pain, or when I'm sick. So I love tart cherry juice. Highly recommend it.
Oh,
What was
thank
my recovery like? Well, I was in the hospital, and I actually made a short video about it. I don't know if you had a chance to see it. I made a video in the hospital. I was feeling only tightness after the surgery. Like I'd done way too many sit-ups. I walked around the hospital on the day of surgery. I had friends for dinner. One of my friends, he lives next door to me, and he came to visit, and he said, "Do you like the hospital?" I said, "It's like a 10-star hotel." It was NYU Langone. And he said, "I designed this hospital." So he's an architect. I was shocked about that one. But I was feeling good to have conversations and hang out with friends. I did work from my hospital bed because perhaps I'm a little bit of a workaholic, but I was really feeling good. I was able to talk and meet other donors on the floor. It was a transplant floor. And then I was there for 3 nights. Now, my friend Steve was in the hospital for only 1 night post-donation. My son AB for 2 nights, and I was there for 3 nights because I had a bit of a slow going system. And so they just said, spend another night here. I live in an apartment where I have to walk up 5 flights to get to the place. So I was super happy to have the extra night. But most people are only in the hospital for 2 nights. I felt very little pain. I was on tramadol, which is a strong painkiller, for about 5 days, though I tapered down. And then I transitioned to extra strength Tylenol. And within 2 weeks, I was off all pain medicines. I walked to work. At the time, I was a professor and program director at Columbia University, which is about 11 blocks from my house. I walked to work so I was home for 2 weeks total, including the surgery. I went back to work, and then I felt tired, but really good. And yeah, it really is crazy how for, let's say, 2 weeks of, needing to sleep on my back, which wasn't so easy. That was the hardest part of all, was learning to sleep on my back. And just like I said, tightness, but not pain. Helped to save someone's life. So it was a really good bargain.
That is incredible. Thank you for sharing your experience. And as
Sure.
you mentioned, being a former professor at Columbia University and having experience teaching children and young adults, what do you feel is the most effective way to educate a widespread audience about organ donation and encouraging young people to become registered donors?
Great question. I think that the best thing to do is start off with the thoughts of the students. What do you think about it? What have you heard? And just find out where they are, and then address the misconceptions, address the fears, and talk to them about the rewards of it, and to give examples of it. So I think storytelling is the best way. Storytelling plus humor, right, are the best ways to communicate information. And I think when you combine the two of, first of all, knocking down the misconceptions, finding out where the students are, finding out about their attitudes about it, telling some stories, and then again, doing a Q&A, I would imagine that would be a really compelling presentation.
Thank you, especially because ODAC does carry out high school presentations with like sophomores and juniors. So starting out with what they know is definitely super effective, and working from any misconceptions or ideas from there. So very much appreciate
Exactly. Yeah,
it.
when we dive in with our presentations right away, if somebody thinks, for example, this is a very dangerous thing to do and they're going to say is going to change my mind, they carry that throughout your presentation. And so they're not really listening. They're sort of looking for confirmation of what they already think. So I think that starting with that, it also is very engaging, right? You get the students talking immediately.
Definitely makes them feel seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as director of Waitlist Zero, can you share the core mission of Waitlist Zero and how it actualizes its goals?
So waitlist zero wants there to be no more kidney donor waitlist, right? Also liver donation. I've been working in the liver space a little bit as well. And so our mission is to do what it takes in terms of passing laws and supporting donors to help that come to fruition. We, for example, there was just a recent article about living kidney donation and encouraging people to give their kidneys to strangers. The link, if they were interested, came to waitlist zero. And from there, I had conversations with people. So far, about 50 people have expressed interest. And once I've spoken with them, I also pass them on to the National Kidney Donation Organization, where I'm a volunteer mentor for prospective donors. So I'll talk to them and connect with them. Then they move on from there. So that's individually helping donors. But I think our what takes up most of my time is really trying to persuade congressional leaders on both the state and the national level that living kidney donation not only saves lives, it saves tremendous amounts of taxpayer money. So it's a win-win. They call it a unicorn because very few things save lives and money. And so I worked really diligently last year on passing the Living Donor Support Act. That was a waitlist zero law written by the founders of Waitlist Zero, Thomas Kelly and Josh Morrison. And when I came onto the scene, it had been around for several years. It was sponsored by someone in the Assembly and the Senate in the New York State Legislature, but no one was really taking action to pass the law. I got together a great group of advocates from National Kidney Foundation and Live On New York, which is the organ procurement organization in New York State. I got a bunch of people from different organizations, including Sharon Kreitzer from Dove. That's an organization to help veterans get kidneys, as well as a couple people who had just donated and were really good spokespeople. And so we went to Albany. We talked to all kinds of different leaders. They said it went, the leaders loved it and said it was really excellent, which was great feedback. And the bill passed unanimously in both houses. Now, keep in mind that entire year, just about everyone I spoke with said it's not going to happen. Just modify your expectations. This is not really something that's going to move, but it did. And it was signed by the governor in December, and it's going to take effect on January 1st, 2024. So that law will make New York State the most generous state for reimbursing all travel expenses and lost wages for donors, as well as educate people with kidney disease about transplantation. Believe it or not, in this country, the dialysis companies are in charge of that education process. But in New York State, after this law is implemented, it will be the hospital employees who will be responsible for educating people about the possibilities of transplantation and the benefits of it. So that's really essential because I've spoken to people on dialysis who have not heard about transplantation, who have not been encouraged to become transplanted. And so taking it from the dialysis companies and putting it back into the hands of the nephrologists and their health community, I think is going to be really life-saving.
Very excited for these changes. Like New York's progress is going to be something beautiful to see, and I hope that we're also going to see it at a national scale too. So thank you so
Exactly. I'm currently working with a state legislator in Colorado named Manny Ramirez, who wants to pass an even bigger bill in Colorado. Now, Colorado is one of the leading states for non-directed donation. And so that's going to be an omnibus bill with lots of benefits for kidney donors. There will be more of them in Colorado. In addition, I'm working on passing two federal laws. The first one is to make the low-income donor reimbursement system more fair. Right now, it depends on how much the recipient makes every year, not how much the donor makes. And so I know I know potential donors who stepped away from becoming donors because their income was low enough to qualify, but the recipient's income was too high. So the bill I'm working on passing is called the HOLD Act, and that removes recipient income from the application from the application with the low income donor reimbursement program called NOWDAC. And the second bill I am eager to pass on the federal level will provide a refundable tax credit for all non-directed donors, a refundable tax credit of $50,000 paid over 5 years, so $10,000 a year. We believe that there are far more people who will step forward to become living kidney donors when they will be provided with a refundable tax credit.
This will undoubtedly change countless lives, the policy work you've accomplished and continue to do so. So thank you so much for detailing them. And slightly pivoting, as an author and an artist, alongside the many incredible projects you have, what fuels your creativity?
What can I say? Um, what fuels my creativity, I think, is just my love for life. I love nature, I love people, I love being alive, and I think that through that I just love to express it in writing and in painting, and I in painting school murals. That's my favorite thing to do. I've always loved the arts, and I've always loved creative writing. So yeah, I think that it really stems from my love for the world, being alive, nature, and the people around me.
Definitely making the world a more colorful place. And are there any support groups for recipients, donors, and advocates that you would like to give a shout out for?
Absolutely. Well, I already mentioned Dove, and that is for veterans. My friend Sharon, who founded it, she's also a non-directed donor. I really admire the work of the National Kidney Foundation, and I'm on their community advocacy committee. And I go to Washington to lobby for bills that are life-saving and, as we say, tax-saving as well. And I'm on the founding team of the Coalition to Modify NODA, which I think is just an incredible opportunity to save lives. The National Kidney Donation Organization is a group of donors who mentor other donors, and I'm a part of that. They are doing terrific work.
Okay. And now I'd like to give you just some open space to mention anything or yeah, to if there's anything else that you would like to speak to.
So I just like to say I have another interest, which is nutrition and the intersection between kidney disease and nutrition education. So I am a mentor for Plant Powered Metro New York as a volunteer. I've done it about 9 times. There's a 21-day jumpstart, and it's an opportunity for people to eat salt, oil, and sugar-free plant-based foods with a mentor supporting them, with opportunities to learn from doctors and chefs, and it's all on Zoom. So that is an amazing way to avoid kidney disease. Kidneys work hard. They're quarter pounders, and they work until they stop working. They often don't indicate that there are any issues until they fail. So many times people don't even know that they're at risk of kidney disease. And when they go to the ER, they find that they are in a catastrophic health state. So I've interviewed a bunch of people, and it's on my YouTube channel that's just named after me. And from that, I've realized how important it is to do preventative health education for people so that they never get to kidney failure. It's estimated that in 6 years, 1 million Americans will have kidney failure. And that is just very sad. Now, it can be connected to nutrition. I've known people who took diet pills that cause kidney failure or chemotherapy or misprescribed drug. It's just so very tragic that so many people experience kidney failure, and it's not reversible. We can slow the progression of it with a good diet. And I did a workshop for the National Kidney Foundation indicating that plant-based diets are great for kidney health. And I also did a few cooking demonstrations for them to show how to make very simple and delicious foods that are very much friendly to kidneys. In March, I'm really excited about a new opportunity at SUNY Downstate Medical School. Now, that is a school that has their own garden. They're very plant forward in their learning, which is unusual for a medical school. I love it. And so I'm going to be mentoring in person people who just received kidney transplants. And this is in a very low-income neighborhood. So I am super excited to meet my new mentees and to learn about what they're learning about through the medical school about how to take up a salt, oil, and sugar-free plant-based diet to preserve their kidney health and to be able to just feel better in their bodies.
And through all the different platforms that you have, where can people find further information regarding the advocacy work and mentorships that you've been involved in?
So there are several ways. I do have a website, elaineperlman.com, where I describe my own kidney donation journey. So you can see the videos I made as well as other videos related to kidney donation. I have a YouTube channel with a lot of kidney-related videos, including interviews of people who've received kidneys or people who need kidneys. as well as informational videos that I've made, like kidney health is better than wealth. That video is really showing, it's only 10 minutes long. It shows sort of what the benefits are of having a plant-based diet for kidney health. In addition, they can check out the website where I'm the director, weightlesszero.org. And also modifynota.org is a place to find out about the federal law to reimburse, no, the federal law to provide the refundable tax credit for non-directed donors. I'm also on Twitter at Urbane Elaine, which is, I pretty much only post about kidneys. So if people are interested in following that, as well as the Waitlist Zero and the Modify Nota pages.
Thank you so much for sharing everything that you have today, your work and your expertise. Everybody here at ODAC and listening is very grateful for.